Hello, today I'm doing a video on the 12 lies that most of us, if not all of us, have been told during our lifetime that may have hindered our success in life. So stay tuned if you want to hear about the 12 lies that you may be hearing even now today, and you certainly don't want to pass them on to your children. Lie number one, you have to go to college to be successful. So now, while it's very helpful to have a college degree, it certainly isn't a requirement for you to be successful. Unfortunately, there are many disciplines that you have to have a degree in order to practice that field, which would be medicine, for example. You need to go to college to be a doctor or a lawyer, but there are some disciplines you may be able to train yourself. Now, I do have 2 degrees. I have a Bachelor of Science and I have an MBA. And I am glad that I have the 2 degrees, but if I were 18 years old today, I don't know if I would do them. One of the reasons is just the cost of tuition has gone up so much in the last 30-40 years that unless you're getting one of those super high paying degrees like medicine or engineering, it might not be worth it at all. My bachelor's degree and master's degree combined cost probably less than $15,000. When I first started at Arizona State University in the early 1980s, tuition was $355 for the entire semester. And of course, parking, maybe $5 to start, $15 later on. Books, you could probably get by with $100 or so in books. So it was very cost effective to go to college back in the early 80s. You have to go to college is a big lie, lie number one. Lie number 2, get a good corporate job for a solid company and work that job for as long as you can until retirement. So sometimes this could be good advice, but a lot of the times the exchange of your time for money is a bad deal. Now, when you're young and you don't have a lot of life skills, you don't have a lot of ideas, time for money working for a corporation could be a good thing to do, 10, 20 years. But at some point, you're going to be more successful in life if you are an entrepreneur and if you can invent things, if you can write a book, do videos, make a movie, create a product. The best chance of making a lot of money is to put a lot of effort into a product, which, like I say, could be a physical product to sell, or it could be a course, could be a book, a video. So you do one time, you put your effort into making that product, and then you sell a copy of that product over and over and over again. So lie number 3, max out your 401k, your IRA, put 10%, 20%, however much you're allowed to put into your 401k, and do it for your whole life. And put that money into mutual funds, and if you're not putting it in a 401k, put it in mutual funds. And then work until you die, and when you're 67 or so, you could retire, and by then you're probably burnt out and can't enjoy the money in your 401k. So there's 2 problems with this. One is the delay until you're in your late 60s in order to make or to retrieve the money in your 401k, right? So my father, for instance, died at 64 years old. So worked his entire life, did not get a penny out of the 401k, did not get a penny out of Social Security, and yet that's what they're telling us that we need to do. And then by the time you're in your late 60s, you could be sick, you could be exhausted, or you could be flat broke because of all the money in your 401k that you can't get out. What happens is later in life, you want to be an entrepreneur, and sometimes you need money from your 401k. And I have my own money in a 401k, and the government tells me I'm too young to withdraw my own money, and they take an additional 10% in addition to the tax that I have to pay on that. So not only I'm paying tax as earned income, but I'm getting hit with the 10% penalty for withdrawing my own money. So I think you could put better use of your money than 401k. Now, there is the exception when you've got employer matching, but again, if you need the money because you want to create a business or you want to buy something like a house, you're going to get taxed up the butt. I wouldn't do it again. I would not say no 401k. I just would not spend all my money in the 401k and forego other investment possibilities. Lie number 4 is to live frugally. You know, buy a cheap, crappy car, live in a cheap house, buy cheap clothes, and then you could limit your expenses and you won't go into debt. So there are a couple of problems with this. First is the mindset, right? If you're going to live frugally, you're trying to reduce expenses. Well, you can only reduce expenses so much. There's a limit that you can do, finite number of expense reduction, because even if you own your house, for example, outright, you still have to pay property tax. You probably have to pay an HOA. You're going to have to pay utilities. So you can't lower your expenses to zero. Now, you can be smart about how you live, but the flip side of that is not so much living frugally. I'm not advocating you go out and spend like a demon. So instead of focusing all your attention on the finite possibility of doing cost reduction, you put all that mindset into making money and how could you make more and what businesses are out there that could be successful for you. You'll do much better in life. The other thing is if you're focused all on being frugal and saving, kind of that mindset puts you into, you're not looking for opportunities. So the mental mindset that you have, living frugally and paying off everything may cost you opportunity costs from being open-minded and looking for opportunities to make money in other ways. Line number 5 is when you buy your house, you've got to save up 20% to put for down payment. Now, there are benefits of this, of course. The biggest benefit with putting 20% down is that it saves you mortgage insurance. And mortgage insurance, I have to admit, I hate that. So yes, 20% down is good to save you the mortgage insurance, but the problem is many times in my life I decided I was going to buy another house and I sold my house so I could use the equity in that house to buy the next house so I could have 20% down. But if I had ignored this and put down the lowest I could, which would have been 3.5 to 5% down, I would have been able to scrape up that without selling the prior house and buy a second house, and then I could have used my prior house as a rental. If I would have done that, I'd have 5, 6, 7 rental properties by now. Some of them would be paid off by now, and I would not have to worry about how am I going to retire because I would have passive income from rental properties. But no, I couldn't do that because I was convinced you had to put 20% down when you buy a house, and that is another big lie. Lie number 6. Avoid borrowing money at all costs. Now, I, again, am not saying go run up your credit cards and go on a spending spree. Certainly not saying that. What I am saying is debt is not always bad. So the basic rule is if you're going to borrow money to buy an appreciating asset, then it can be good. Borrowing money to go on a trip to the Bahamas or to buy a $50,000 sports car when you could buy a $20,000 car, that is kind of bad use of debt. Number 7, I was told this, wait until you're financially secure or you're really secure in your career to have kids. So I'm sure I'm not the only one that this happened to. I waited a long time to have kids. I had a career. I was working at Intel. And then in my early 30s, I'm like, let's start a family. And I was infertile. Now, had I done it 10 years prior, had I started trying to have kids at 23, probably would have been able to get pregnant easily, but I started at 33. So here at 35, I'm still not pregnant, right? And so we decided to go to a fertility doctor and have in vitro fertilization, which thankfully that took. I know people that had several in vitro fertilization where it did not take, and it's like $10,000 a shot that you don't get your money back if it doesn't work. So you're spending a ton of money. Yay, I finally got pregnant, and my son, who I love dearly and wouldn't give him back for the world, but my son has autism. Now, how do I know? Did that autism come from in vitro fertilization? Or if I had had him naturally in my 20s, would he have been autistic? Again, I love him as an autistic adult, but it would have been much better for him and his success in life had he not been autistic, and me waiting until I'm 33 years old to start trying to have a family, I would say was a bad idea and a bad lie that you should not tell women and you should not tell couples to wait to have children. Lie number 8, this is a big one. I know a lot of people have been told this lie. I certainly was, that if you are depressed, It's because you have a chemical imbalance and then you need to go to a psychiatrist who is going to be writing you prescriptions for some type of psychotropic drugs. So here's another thing is the psychotropic drugs. They told me back in the day, take them when you're pregnant because, the risk of you getting depressed and having postpartum depression is so high that you can just take Prozac all through your pregnancy. Now again, did that cause my son to be autistic? Did that in vitro fertilization cause my child to be autistic? You're going to have guilt for your entire life. But even so, I don't think any antidepressant present most of the time is not going to cure your depression. It's going to make you feel better for a few months and then it's going to come back. Really, the reason you're probably depressed is because you're not happy with your life. And in my case, I would say a lot of it came down to, was I living my dream or are you living somebody else's dream? If you're doing a job, for instance, that you hate and you're there every single day, 50 hours a week, and that's all you do, you're going to get depressed. Or say you want to have kids and you don't. Things like that are probably what makes you depressed. You probably don't have a chemical imbalance, and then just throwing medication at the problem is not going to make it any better. In fact, it will keep you from exploring what's happening and what's going on to cure the depression. So again, if you're depressed, it's a chemical imbalance. That is lie number 8. Lie number 10, make a plan for your life and everything will come out okay. Well, that's great if nothing unexpected comes along and derails your plan. And I would say there's probably very few people on the planet that don't have some monkey wrench thrown into their plan sometime in your life. So don't think just because you made a plan and a good plan that it's all going to work out. Lie number 11, religion is bad. People will tell you, only people that live in the Stone Age can be religious, or nothing good ever came out of being religious, or Christians are bad. Man, there's a war on Christianity. Now, I want to say I was raised Catholic. I did get disillusioned in my youth of the Catholic Church, mostly because I got a divorce, so that was definitely not supported by the Catholic Church. But that doesn't mean the principles of Catholicism or Christianity are bad. So there are two things that are good with religion, and I want to say I'm not that religious myself, but I do believe in the basic principles, and I am a spiritual person. But belonging to a religion has a couple advantages. One is it teaches you morals. It encourages being good to another. You get a lot of support from the community, from other people in the church, and just having faith in a higher power can help you get through difficult times, and it can help you stay out of depression being religious. And you don't have to be a religious fanatic. I'm just saying if you have a little bit of faith, I think it can have a great impact on your mental health well-being. I'm more of a live and let live person. If you want to be super religious, if you want to be a teeny bit religious or no religion at all, that is your personal choice. But don't condemn people who are religious, because that's not only not healthy for you, not healthy for them, doesn't do any good to anybody. And if somebody wants to be religious, I think that is very good for their mindset. So number 11 lie, religion is bad. Now number 12 is somebody that I was close with at the time. I was getting my real estate license, and he told me, you can't do good in real estate. You're just not aggressive. You're not an aggressive person. Just because you're not aggressive doesn't mean you could do well in real estate. In fact, how many people I know that don't want an aggressive real estate agent? So I actually get my real estate leads through YouTube. I don't call or pester anybody unless they call me first. So that you can't make it in business because you don't have a certain personality type, that is lie number 12. So that's it. 12 common lies that we've heard in our life. My name's Dawn Dickinson. My channel, Mental Mindset. The channel is here just for us to support each other to get through this thing called life. I hope you enjoyed the video. If so, please give me a thumbs up, subscribe, and I hope to see you back here when I post a new video next week.